Thank you all for being here today for our subconscious, learning how to get through your subconscious in order to achieve abundance online class. I have taught many of my students from this, and it has taken about 2 years to develop this chart. It's just a basic navigation, although it looks a little bit confusing, on how to navigate your mind. I also had a healing pendulum class, which you can also find on my list of classes. That one is more like a clock face and is focused more just on healing, like an automatic healing pendulum. And this one's going to stick to how to get through the blocks of the subconscious mind. Perhaps you're trying to manifest or make something happen in your life and you're having trouble. You can troubleshoot with the chart. What's nice about it is it's very automatic. You don't have to have psychic gifts or anything like that to be able to use this chart or any other chart that I have. So I do have the webcam on, and I have a pendulum today, just a regular metal one, just so you can see it. Holding a pendulum, if you're new to that, maybe holding it with your 2 fingers. And just allowing it to swing on its own. For right now, it should be doing it clockwise. So we're just going to make sure that everybody's pendulums will move on their own. Anytime I have these charts, they are programmed so that there is no outside influence, that it's you at your highest source, receiving information only from your highest source. So if you say God, universal energy, whatever you do call it, some people may say Buddha, the sun, goddess, all kinds of different terms, but connecting there and completely protected. Okay, so if somebody's pendulum is not doing a clockwise circle, let me know. Okay, so the first thing that I see mine doing is showing you the right place to manifest. So on this chart, you should be anywhere in the middle of the chart where it says between lives, soul growth, God's plan. We're over in this box, Alchemy. So this would be the ideal place for you to be, even on that center line. Here would be okay. So just anywhere in the middle. And this line here, right here, where it goes from God's plan to alchemy, the pendulum will swing on this when you are properly manifesting. And we're going to learn a lot about these different areas today. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just let your pendulum go where it wants to go. You want to start it in the middle of the chart and let it swing. So anything just outside of that middle circle that I showed you are the subconscious areas. And then if you go out one other ring, that darker ring, those are all the remedies. So different codes, subconscious codes, and different words that will pop you right out of that. Let's say you're in fear. My pendulum's going over to Young Living Valor, going to 1111 on the outer ring. So when it's reaching out really far, it's just getting what it needs to help get you out of whatever subconscious block you are in at that time. So it might be swinging around like crazy, getting all these different remedies. Another way you can use this chart if you don't like to use pendulums, I use something called eye tracking, which means my eyes will track to the right place. It's just one of those gifts that I opened up with. where I can look at the chart and it can show me right now that somebody is an inner child just by my eyes following and seeing where it goes. I also see God's plan between lives and destiny override. Okay, so once you see where you seem to be staying the most, like let's say you're mostly in fear or afraid to hear, if you could just type it in the chat box. And whoever had counterclockwise, that's okay. You are just removing energy, maybe your bad day or anything like that. Okay, so Lisa, you said yours is swinging down the middle, and that would be a good place to be. That middle line, or in between lives, soul growth, God's plan, or alchemy. So you're in the right place. And if this is your first class with me, I normally will teach from spirit, which means I connect up and I'm able to help with individual needs of people attending the class, either ones that are here live or ones that may listen to this recording at a later time. But you can come back anytime and listen to the class again since we're recording it. Okay, so people that took the other pendulum class are putting down 1 and 6 and 12 and 6. So are you able to see, is it right on the line? Because when these are swinging in, they should just swing out like this one right now, afraid to hear. Somebody is in afraid to hear. And if it's in the line between, you may be getting reverse osmosis, which is one of the remedies. So if your pendulum is swinging that far out into the sides, it's just picking up the remedies. So you've got reverse osmosis and you have an 11-11. You don't have to know what each one of those codes means. The ones on the outer ring, everything that's come through to me has come through spirit. It started when I didn't understand why I would end up in a whole loop of issues before I went to the next level. So let's say before this class, I didn't have the problem today, but in the past, a bunch of things may have gone wrong during my day. Like I may have had, low balance in my checking account. I might have had a child that needed to come home sick from school. I might have worried about my health or something like that. But you have like a pattern. If you track it and you study it, you'll see that you have a pattern of distractions that happens before you go to the next level of anything. So if it's a brand new job, if it's about your spiritual growth, whatever that next step is, you may end up in a subconscious loop. Okay, Amy said that hers was swinging towards destiny override. So in destiny override, I tell people that that's purposely ruining. So whatever you should be doing, you're doing the opposite of it. You may also get some type of outside influence that kind of leads you another direction, and sometimes that will come through in destiny override. And as you have questions, just type them. Okay, I have not published the information yet. It's going to be in my next book, but we are using some of it today. So if you're tuned into your higher self, and whenever I say that means it's something that's very important. Some people think it's just clearing your throat, but I've noticed over time it's something important. Then you've made it possible to hear your own subconscious. So if I tune in and I can hear my higher self, guess what? I can hear my subconscious. So sometimes you may think it's your higher self speaking to you. Maybe you think it's source, but it's not. And it's in these areas of ego, fear, inner child. I'm taking a moment to tune into spirit. Gretchen, are you willing to allow us to work with you on the chart today? Okay, thank you. So Spirit would like us to work with Gretchen. And that means that when our pendulum is swinging, it's going to be for her, for right now. That's how you would do it. So if you're a practitioner, you're helping someone else, you just have that intent. If it's not for you and it's for somebody else. Okay, so as you get a swing for Gretchen, just type it in the box. I am getting being wrong. Okay, so we have soul growth, being wrong, afraid to hear. If anyone has anything different, just type it in. Okay, so we have a couple afraid to hears. And whenever I have a lesson plan, we just kind of go however Spirit brings us. They would like me to explain a little bit about afraid to hear. That's just when you're tuning up to source, maybe you're praying to God, you're asking for a question to be answered, and you're having trouble hearing the answer where maybe normally you would hear the answer. So you hear, would you share something that you've been questioning, Gretchen, maybe just on a very general level? And Catherine got between lives for Gretchen and ego at the soul level. And one thing about afraid to hear, it's the only place in the subconscious where useless past life information can pop in. It's just one of those things. I do have it on the chart, so you'll see. If the past lives are open to come through that way, you'll get a counterclockwise where it says past lives can enter here, close the portal. Your past lives are supposed to come in a different route, not through a back door of your subconscious, but in afraid to hear, there is a back door. So those of you that have certain energies that seem to come through when you're asking something you're afraid to hear the answer to, it may be because that past life portal is opening. Okay, just from seeing all of the different swings that people have gotten for Gretchen, I would believe that she's probably in a distraction of subconscious loop. She's got a different level she's going to achieve soon. And right before that happens, all of these other distractions will happen. The easiest way to get out of that is just to ask Source, can you please pull me out of the subconscious loop? So if you've tried using the chart and you still can't get out of it, you feel kind of trapped in all these different bouncing around energies and issues, then you're just going to ask Source to pull you out of it. Okay, so we're helping her get out of her loop. And as soon as she's out of the loop, then the swinging that I have now is going from God's plan to alchemy, which means you're co-creating with God or Source, whatever you call that energy, to create a better outcome. So let's say you had a life lesson, some type of life lesson, and you've mastered that. Oftentimes God will allow you an easier way, and you can co-create. You're co-creating when it's swinging from God's plan all the way out there, just like a nice healthy swing like I have going here. If you have a little bit of distractions going on, it may swing a little bit slower than that. But when it's nice and clear, it should be swinging way out with energy like this. Are there any questions so far? Okay, Tina wants to know how we can close the past life portal. When you're in Afraid to Hear and you have that counterclockwise up in the corner like I have here, and there's words that say past lives can enter here, close the portal. It's going to go clockwise until it's closed, and then it will stop. And then you know that it's closed. And it very well may open again, depending if it's part of your path to learn about these things. For some people, you close it once and it's closed for good. So we'll remember that Afraid to Hear is that area where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm asking for this, but I don't know if I want the answer. Just being in that, you'll have an uncomfortable feeling. The uncomfortable feeling is most likely the past life portal opening and whatever coming through, or you will just get generic past life information that you don't know what to do with it. It's because it's not for a positive. It's not really for a negative either, unless something uses that door as a back door to come in. So just reviewing, it will do a counterclockwise and Afraid to Hear for past lives. And to close the portal, it's going to go clockwise until it stops, and then it's done. I want to talk a little bit about soul growth, since I told you that's one of the goals in the center of the chart. So when you're in soul growth, that means not only are you growing as a physical earth person in this body in this lifetime, you're able to grow at the soul level. So that means your soul is getting new experience and growth, making the vibration higher, closer to source, however you want to look at that. And that would be the goal. Many times your higher self will be hesitant to allow you to grow. Maybe they're being protective. And what I've learned is the higher self doesn't always know more than you know. So I guess just to be safe, because you guys are able to get to the top of your who you are as a soul energetically now at a very quick rate. So when you come into these lifetimes, you wake up, you realize that you're here for something more than just work and bills and laundry and things like that. And then you realize, wow, I came here to actually do something. So sometimes the higher self will decide to take the lead, perhaps helping you to make decisions. They may say, you know what, you have to quit eating meat, or you have to, fast every day. And because that's what they did at their highest point. Your higher self did this at the highest point. But some part of you will feel that might be off a little. The reason is you need to reach up higher. You need to reach up to Source, to God, and let that be your guiding light. Because you're at that point now where your higher self and you are topping out. And just so you always have that room to grow, just get your guidance directly from Source. And if that resonates with you, then just picture that you have that connection at your higher self and you're just reaching up higher because you want to grow as much as you can in this lifetime. Okay. Inner child. How many of you are familiar with your subconscious inner child? You can either raise your hand or type it right in. Okay, so some of you are, and some of you are just starting out with that. Your inner child, it's the way that you learn to deal with trauma or hard times in your early ages. So probably the time that you were still in your mom to about age 8. But I've seen people up to age 18 still counting that as their inner child. But for the most part, it's just up until 8. For mine, we don't like spiders, definitely. And I have learned to hear the voice of inner child. Inner child in my world, if I hear the phrase bad man in my mind, I know that's my inner child. And you learn to build a relationship with your inner child to make them feel better, to help them when you are going through all these changes of life. So in my world, in inner child, I take time and tell her it's going to be okay, that we're safe, that there's always a bad man, and that but we're safe. You know, God has us, Source has us in the palm of His hand, and we're safe. So that's just the inner child. So maybe they saw something that scared them, and they're still afraid of water or whatever it is at the time. You just work with them. You work on the healing and the forgiveness as much as you can. What inner child is just one of the areas of the subconscious. So that's going to be more your youth. There is inner child at the soul level. Inner child at the soul level would be, let's say you believe that you've had a bunch of lifetimes. And you take the inner children of all those lifetimes and you take that information and it's in a file drawer. And every once in a while you have some type of trigger that pops that drawer open. So it's really just information, inner child at the soul level. Also, people that do channeling, they need to discern, am I channeling my own self? You know, am I channeling my inner child? Am I channeling my ego? Am I channeling ego at the soul level, inner child at the soul level? So there's all these different places that you could be channeling from. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just if you're looking to channel higher, like your higher self, you may have to discern the difference between inner child and ego in those other areas. But the chart would be helpful for doing that. Inner child at the soul level, they would like me to explain that's the area where you, when you have problems with poltergeist, you know, where you have young children using fear-based energy, spiritual energy to create, that's coming from their inner child at the soul level. And as you have questions, just type them in. If I'm going too fast, ask me to go over it again. I feel as I have 3 questions, and one of them is about God's plan, one of them is about fear, and one is about ego. So when you're ready to ask your questions, go ahead. is that part that I spoke about, the inner child at the soul level. Okay, so we have somebody who's in ego. And so then I wanted to check and make sure it's not me. And I'm over here at, and I'm manifesting right now. So I know that that's not me. But this is a way to make sure you're in the right place when you're teaching or doing anything like that. Inner child at the soul level, how to fix that. To pretty much close the drawer. It's a drawer of information that popped out because of one of your triggers. And until you heal the trigger, you're going to just have to close that drawer of information. If you have somebody who has manifested something with the power of inner child at the soul level, you can have them picture a vacuum cleaner at their solar plexus, bringing back anything that they had sent out on accident. With so many spiritual children these days, or maybe when you were younger, you were afraid they may have created a protector or whatever with that energy. You just ask that it all be brought back to you. No sage or anything needed for that. I'm going to go ahead and start with alchemy, since nobody's any questions so far. So it's defined by my higher guidance as the ability to resurrect. Resurrection comes in various forms and conditions, intending for the universe to reverse its original plan in order to bring a new and improved plan forward. The power is extreme and requires patience and time to develop. You should take a couple minutes to be in the area of alchemy so that you can actually see that there's different parts of it. Let me blow this up so you can see it. Okay, so with alchemy, I said that originally God's got a plan for you here. And when you'd like to co-create and come up with a better plan, I said it should swing like this, a nice healthy swing. But sometimes you will be manifesting and you may get stuck here at life lesson. So you may have something that you're learning in this lifetime that might slow down your manifesting. So if you're learning about, I don't know, let's say greed. Somebody's learning about greed. That may come up as soon as they start manifesting. And with the life lesson, you're just really picking the high road or the low road. You just pick one. And as you pick the proper high road, enough times eventually you have mastered the life lesson, and that will no longer slow you down. So when this is swinging back and forth from God's plan to alchemy to co-create with God, you may also go over to misuse or greed. If you get it counterclockwise, going around this area, that means that you are misusing your manifesting abilities. And when people do that, there's usually pretty severe karmic consequence. So I would imagine nobody here, because I'm getting told no one on the call does this. The closest thing some of you might come to is, let's say you're manifesting and somebody's using your energy. That would be about the closest thing. So if you get a misuse or greed, any of you that are in this group right now, it's not going to be you. It's going to be somebody else taking some type of manifesting power from you. And you just ask God to help you get out of that. So Lisa asked, if we have a particular pain in our body, can we use this chart to find out its origin and to heal it with the remedies in the outer loop? And my higher guidance says yes. Some of these places actually do have pains, like indecision. Indecision would be when you're afraid to make a decision, or you make decisions based on what other people might like you to do. I have worked on that area to make sure that I'm making my own decisions. I'm one of those people that likes to make everyone happy, so I have been in indecision. But with indecision, you get right shoulder pain sometimes. And it's one of the two areas where you can pull in other people's energy when you're in indecision. One other thing about indecision is if you have a friend or there's a client that you're working with and you decide to help them with something that you haven't taken the time to heal for yourself, you may end up with a corded bond. It's kind of a toxic corded bond in this indecision area. But sometimes other people's energy is coming through and it doesn't need to. Okay, what pain would you want to try and heal today, Lisa? What is your example? And we could do this together. Okay, so Lisa says she has two pains, one in her neck and one in the middle upper back. Either one is fine. Let's do the middle upper back. And we'll do this as a group. Lisa's giving me permission to help diagnose with the chart. Not diagnose, you know. So we can work together and see maybe what she has going on. So I have being wrong. And in being wrong, you're just not believing your answers. And people that are in being wrong too long can create non-beneficial reality or a subconscious if you stay there too long. Okay, so Gretchen said she got afraid to hear for Lisa's middle upper back. And we'll see if anybody else gets something different. Also in being wrong, it's not believing in your answers. And sometimes you may actually get answers from God or Source and then you question them. It's a lot of moving over and letting God source. Okay, and Gretchen has circling with ego. So is it clockwise in ego? Like this? I just want to double check with Gretchen that she has her pendulum going around, circling around the word ego. Counterclockwise and afraid to hear an ego. One of the things that can happen in ego, that's that area where you think you're too good or you're not good enough. it may become distorted, where you may afraid, oh, I may end up in ego if I say that I'm good at something. And so then your idea of where you're being positive and assertive or whatever it is, that you're doing something wrong. So you may be afraid to be an ego. So if you get a circling on ego like this is something relatively new that's just come in the past few days. This chart is an ongoing process. Lisa needs to be able to let go of what she thinks ego is and to allow herself to be the best at whatever it is she's trying to be the best at. But that's not a negative thing. So moving the line from being positive to, you know, where it's not ego anymore. And most of the people on this call also are the type that would never go into that area of ego, that overstepping your boundaries. You're more afraid of doing that than most people. So allow yourself to adjust where ego is. And I see Gretchen had said that there's counterclockwise afraid to hear also. So we'll just allow the chart to keep pulling whatever this is. When you have counterclockwise, it's pulling things out. And let it go to all the remedies for Lisa, and we'll see if the back pain eases up a little bit. And now Gretchen has back and forth between the two. So when something new like that comes up, just let it swing, let the pendulum swing until it does what it needs to do. Okay, I think we're moving to the neck area, Lisa. So we'll see what comes up for the neck. And I have need to rescue. And that's the second area where you can pull in other people's energy. It's usually when you think you're the only one that can help somebody. Like when you forget that maybe God or Source has a plan other than you and that you would need to allow whoever is supposed to help that person to help them. Okay, and then somebody has, I think it's Gretchen, has swinging in indecision. So Lisa, we need you to ask Source to pull you out of your subconscious loop and to give you the information you need to hear in order to let go of that pain that you're holding. And so Amy has a swing between ego at the soul level and other people's energy. I'm going to have all of us sit in the energy of ego at the soul level. So that means if you get your information by a feeling or words or whatever it is, let it come in, because I want you to know these are most of the different areas on the wheel you can't tell the difference between, but ego at the soul level you can definitely tell. So when you're sitting in ego at the soul level, just put a couple words of what it feels like to you. So ego at the soul level is similar to the inner child at the soul level, but just picture all the ego from all the lifetimes, the significant ones, in a file drawer, that when you need some type of power or there's a trigger, you may end up in ego at the soul level. Okay, so Tina has arm tingling for ego at the soul level. It's a very strong energy, and it's physically uncomfortable for me. Everybody's different. So Gretchen said chills. Lisa said uncertainty, unknown, and scared. Afraid to make wrong decision. Amy, can you do a reading on where you're at right now? So instead of everybody else, just do a reading on your own. Mm-hmm. While Amy's checking the chart for herself, the life lesson while in alchemy, just what I had written. It is possible to have your co-creating delayed while working on your life lesson. Some people may have many life lessons to master prior to being able to freely manifest. Manifesting or co-creating with God's source is very powerful, and the areas of greed, jealousy, misuse, and life lessons must be mastered in order to do this the proper way. If you're angry, envious, jealous, greedy, you hold hatred, or you're not connected to God's source when using this chart in subconscious clearing methods, you may be misusing or co-creating with non-beneficial entities or energy, depending on your life path. All of those areas must be mastered to properly manifest from the highest possible light. The choice is always to take the highway or the low way. We must choose. Do I choose the right way or the wrong way? In mastering your own wants and needs and applying that knowledge to make a higher decision in connection. My way or God's way? And doing the opposite would be destiny override. Okay, so Amy has in between need to rescue an inner child. Is there a person in your life, Amy, that you are trying to rescue right now? Tried to and you could not. Amy, we're all going to use the wheel to help heal whatever part is going on if we have your permission. Okay, so if we all just put ourselves in doing what would be in Amy's highest good, your highest good, where source directs you. and allowing that energy just to help her to make a shift today. And then you'll eventually get a clockwise swing for her, and then your pendulums will stop when you're done. And we'll be moving on to an exercise when you're done. Just let me know. So part of Destiny Override is feeling lost. Well, part of getting to a new level of anything is feeling lost. So this is the normal process you need to master to get the intended new information. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay and necessary. And when this feeling comes in, just sit for 5 minutes and allow yourself to move. And what I've done with people after just the past few weeks is having them sit in that feeling of being lost. And many different things may come up as we're gonna do this together. So you can put your pendulum down and just get comfortable, close your eyes and breathe. And it's an uncomfortable place, but once you sit through it, and let's say you don't want to sit through it now, you don't have to. You can come back and listen to the recording and do it. But if you feel that you're ready to move forward, I think sitting through your feeling of loss now would be a really good idea. And you may see times when you're lost as a child in a store in the woods, no one picked you up on time, anything like that may come up. You don't have to say it, you're just seeing it and knowing it's just part of that, almost that area of being lost that's in your soul that just needs to be emptied out. So we're going to sit quietly and just breathe. And when I'm told we're all done, then I will bring us back to the room. And somebody's asking me, how do I do this? You just sit, and you may see that your eyes are fluttering a bit. That means you're in theta waves. We've just got you up really high right now. And when you move past and up higher than the theta waves, the flickering of your eyelids will stop. There's nothing wrong. We're just really up at a higher realm. And you'll breathe, and you'll just allow whatever feeling of being lost to come in and go. And if you're in a very uncomfortable place, just breathe it out, and you won't have to do this again. Whichever one of you that feels a little bit of pressure in your chest, you're okay. Just breathe through it. You're just fighting releasing it. Okay, and I can tell that there's a couple of you that are stuck. Bear with me. We might as well fight through this. This is what they're directing me to read of the writing right now. So when you are connected to God source energy, you have to ask for what it is that you're looking for as far as development and change. After that, you have to be willing to hear the answer to why you're currently at that vibration. Does it still need to be mastered? And what does God's source have planned for you in your spiritual growth? One other area they're pointing at is many times you may feel that you are finished with the learning process because it's just too difficult and you can't take it anymore. This is what happens when you're next to the next level, the next higher level. And you can choose the easy road and go the other direction, which in reality is not the easy road. It will be the same as you have been doing for whatever extended period of time you have created. Or you're going to realize this is a way to push forward into the future. I can't get through this barrier. I can't let go of whatever this is. And now's the time where you just take a deep breath. And you say, you know what, Source, I need some help. I want to go forward. Lift me up out of this so I may go forward. And the closer you get to soul growth feels like, when I have felt it before, you think there's a danger. It feels dangerous and scary, but there's no reason. You're sitting in a place where you're safe and you know you're fine. So you're able to ground yourself with that. But the closer you get to it, the scarier it feels. So the easy thing would be to walk backwards and stay where you've been. But today I need you to walk forward, that place of resistance you have in your subconscious. I don't care if you see it as a finish line, if it's a line drawn in the sand. I just need you to cross into that soul growth area that you're afraid of. So when I count to 3, I need you to move forward over your line, your finish line, or to your new level. 1, 2, 3. Do you want as a group? We're going to do it one more time. But this time we're going to cross 20 different thresholds at once. So there's 20 lines, they're all stacked on each other. And we're going to do this. So when I count to 3, you're going to push through. 1, 2, 3. And one of you is still stuck. And I get need to rescue and fear. Are you brave enough to see what else is possible? Or do you want to stay here where you are? And even when you decide not to push forward, you will always feel that push to see what is there beyond what you know. Okay, everybody just got through. So if you want to help just clean up the rest of the fear-based thoughts and things like that, just let your pendulum do counterclockwise and pull the rest of it out. And as you come up with questions, just start typing them in. Or if you want to share your experience in sitting and being lost. In spiritual work, or when people are working on their gifts, they'll get to that point where they say, I'm not getting anything. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, what's wrong? That's just that feeling of being lost. And I tell them, just sit through that. And if you can be patient with yourself, you're going to push through, because you need that being lost feeling to go to the next place. Lost because you haven't been there before. And every time I go to another level, I often feel like I'd like to quit doing this stuff too. You're not the only one. It's not easy. I guess if it were easy, everyone would be doing it. It's something that you have to really want, where you're letting your purpose override your resistance. And that's what the second book is going to be called. Purpose and Truth Over Resistance. So Clifton says, I never did feel like I was lost. Have you ever in your entire life? But something happened in your life where you cleared all this being lost way before this class. You want to share what that was? Okay, well, that's good. You've already worked on this, Clifton. Just for some people, it's a place you don't want to go. It doesn't feel right. You know, you'd want to do anything except sit in that. Good. There's a couple of you that are in need to rescue still. Do you want to share what you have going on, just a general, and ask the group for help? Not you, Clifton, I don't think. I think it's someone else. The names that I'm looking at are the 184 person, Gretchen, and Kelly. But you don't have to share if you don't want to. Okay, so and one need to rescue. Sometimes you have a friend you want to help, and they're not ready to receive that help. And we have permission to help you, Gretchen, if you would like to um, just help you out of that for now. Enough so that you can study it and see maybe a different way to look at it. Just the part where you allow the energy to come through that drains. That's the only part. Kelly, would you have anything that you would want to ask for help with that you're having trouble manifesting? Okay, so Kelly said we could help with manifesting a relationship. So when I did figure out how to properly manifest, I started seeing things that were a little bit quicker than I would want them to be. You know, where people were, you didn't expect anything to happen for months, but it happens in a week. But it's not always what you would say is the most ideal. You know, like we might have an idea in our head of what a win is or what's good, but maybe Source has a different one. It sometimes clears out people. So the minute that you are able to properly manifest, make sure you do it for other people also. I think that's the part where I noticed the most, where I wasn't just manifesting for myself, I was manifesting for anybody else that I could possibly help. So that's one of those things that if you take a few minutes, Kelly needs help manifesting with her relationship. Gretchen needs a little help manifesting with a friend that she cares very much about. And if there's somebody else who would like to put theirs on here also. You'll find when you're manifesting for other people that you'll almost see an immediate result for that, so that you have an idea that you're actually doing something. And if other people have questions, go ahead and put them. Otherwise, we're going to be manifesting for other people. Okay. Whoever has ego at the soul level, if you could let me know and see if we can help you through it. And ego at the soul level, the way I'm feeling it, there's a really tight tightness in my chest right now too. So whoever has that may have that chest tightness too. Okay, so Tina has ego at the soul level. Do you know when it changed, Tina? Okay. So ego at the soul level, Tina, is going to be when you have, it's going to pop open at certain times, probably when you feel you need a little extra power, but it's not something that would be a benefit to you. So it's the file drawer that popped open, ego at the soul level, all your egos, all your lifetimes. So it's something that's not going to help. So you're going to close that drawer. Okay, so there's a few people that have ego at the soul level. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure this is what Spirit wanted us to do today. Okay, so we'll just take a moment and we're going to tune into ego at the soul level, those of you that receive information that way. And the one that's 184, do you have ego at the soul level also? What I'm being told is ego at the soul level for one person is because somebody was afraid of trying something new. I'll see what else comes in. Afraid to exchange ideas. Needing validation. I think that's it. CC above. So Clifton, oh, Catherine. So what is your swing right now, Catherine? Are you ego at the soul level? Okay. So Catherine, if you could take advantage of this moment, put your pendulum down and just breathe in that not sure what to do or what you're supposed to do, because this is the perfect example of feeling lost. You're going to have a significant shift. If you could trust me and just breathe this one out. There's times with my higher guidance that I can't hear them, but it's not because I'm doing something wrong. They have certain times when they're adjusting your frequencies that you can't always hear them. It's just part of this feeling lost and growing. Because I know they're still there. I know I haven't done anything to cut communications, but sometimes you have to wait it out, a little bit. But when you need it, it's there. Catherine, do you usually hear your spirit guides? Feel them. Have you been feeling them today? Okay, is that something out of the ordinary for you? To just have periods of time where you can't tell they're there? For a month or so, okay. Catherine, I'm going to do the equivalent of holding your hand, even though we're not in the same room. And the rest of everybody else, just allow your pendulums to run however they need to run to help with this situation. You may do counterclockwise. And if an outside influence pulls you into destiny override, you will have a counterclockwise swing in your destiny override part of the chart. Allow yourself to be pulled out of this so you may continue with the intended manifesting in the area of alchemy. And Catherine, I can tell it is not your fault that you don't have the strong connection you had before. Okay, and earlier, Catherine, I had talked about the higher self and how you can almost tap out because your vibration has increased at a rate beyond what maybe we could do lifetimes ago. So you're at that point now where there's no wiggle room. It's you at the top with your higher self. I need you to reach up to source and allow that to be your new connection, your new guiding light. Your ego at the soul level doesn't want you to grow. They're afraid that you can't handle it or whatever they feel, but it's just ego at the soul level, so it's not like a real entity or anything. It's more just information from the past. And Catherine, you're 3 weeks away from something significant in your growth. So if you can tough it out for those 3 weeks, it'll be worth it. I know sometimes it's easier just to quit this stuff, in your mind, but it'll be worth it. Okay, we got you out of ego at the soul level. And you're in alchemy again. I'm sorry, Catherine, does it scare you that I say you're going to have a bump up in 3 weeks? Like a good thing? Okay, so I am grounding out any fears that I have that Catherine is uncomfortable or anything like that, because I know that Spirit wants us to do this. So we're in fear right now. And then we went right back into manifesting. So whatever you have going on, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I mean, it may be as simple as just trying a new skill. I have no idea what it is, but the part of you that's scared of it is that ego at the soul level. And if you can trust the universe, I feel you'll understand. Just not quitting your path. And Catherine, if you want to contact me after the class to talk about that more, I would be glad to. I just don't think it's everyone's business. Okay, so we still have about 12 minutes where I would like you to ask any questions, or let's just say, hey, every time I'm trying to do this, this happens. Share your story. So I'm getting the impression that somebody overthinks in the group. Okay. And that would be in the being wrong area. So Amy, It says, I want to move past hurt, anger, betrayal, to have new healthy relationships again, peace and happiness in my life. However, the fear of betrayal, disappointment, failure happening again seems so overwhelming that I retreat in fear and stay stuck in the same place. I worry that I will never get past it and that the anger is still strong. So the basis of what you have, Amy, I just asked them to show me where does it all come from, and it's just fear. So anytime that you hold any anger, betrayal, those kind of things, you're totally going to block your higher guidance. Of course, they're going to get through when it's anything major or significant, but just having that support on day-to-day things in your life, being able to pray and hear an answer would be blocked from these things. And I'm going to allow the group to help you, Amy, with their charts if that's okay. Thank you. The reason I put this in a chart form is because each one of these things is kind of confusing. You know, I've gone over a lot, and I'm sure some of you are just wondering what in the world I was talking about. It will just allow you to get what you need to get out of it. So Gretchen said that you have afraid to hear. And Gretchen, is the past life portal open or no? Okay. So Gretchen says the past life portal is open. And so she's going to close it for Amy. And I know we have people in here that are very old souls. So it would be common to have, let's say somebody passed and you don't want to talk to them because they were harmful or toxic in your life and you really don't have to. I've seen 3 different incidents in the past few months where they're waiting on the other side of this door, you know, because it's a back door. So anytime the person prays, they're afraid to hear because they're not sure they want to hear what the answer is. That person on the other side that hasn't crossed over and was toxic to them would pop through that past life doorway. Okay, Gretchen says that it's closed now. Doesn't mean you're at risk or anything like that, but if those of you that wonder why things keep popping through, sometimes it may be when you're afraid to hear. And when you've mastered that area, you can permanently close it. Okay, is anybody else getting anything for Amy? I think things would be a lot easier if you can trust in the universe. When we think we're the only one who's going to fix something and we don't count on any type of support from up higher than ourselves, you can bounce around in this subconscious for years. That one area of being wrong, like I said, people can create a whole complex system beyond what you already have in your human mind to get through. And that's when you're not believing and you're not allowing God's source. It's faith. The remedy in being wrong is just having faith. So Clifton would like some help with not believing in his answers. Well, with my chart, you can't override it like when you program a pendulum for yes and no, and some of us are able to override with our emotions or whatever like that. The chart will just give you what you actually are in. It's not going to block it. And Clifton, could you sit for the next 3 minutes in the area of being lost and not believing your answers? So while Clifton is sitting there working on his lost, Lisa has a request. She said, the mess around me bothers me so much. I feel like I clean it and then there's a mess again. I feel like I am in a never-ending cycle. Am I avoiding something? Need to address something? How do I permanently close this? So those of you that feel drawn to help Lisa with hers, see what comes up on the chart. So Clifton, you can't help on this part, so you've got to sit in your lost on your answers. And Gretchen's getting need to rescue for Lisa. Okay, so Amy got ego for Lisa and fear. Gretchen got fear. And if you get enough different swings, you can assume that you're in a subconscious loop. But I understand that it's not that easy. And Catherine said indecision also. So that's quite a few. It most likely is a loop then, Lisa. And it's not easy. It's not just, hey, I'm looking at this chart and I'm going to get through this because it's really easy. No, each one of these areas will pull you into them. I mean, if you truly are afraid that something's wrong with you or your kids or, you know, there's something wrong in your relationship, those are all really tough areas to have all at once. But if you have those things and you start watching the patterns, you're going to find that it's just before you go up to the next level. It's something you have to do in order to get beyond your own human mind, to go up to the next level. So Lisa's going to have to ask Source to pull her out of this, or you just allow the pendulum to get whatever remedy it needs. There's a couple more minutes, but I feel like somebody has something important to ask also. Those are all really good questions, but somebody's holding something they could use help with back. You have some really kind, loving people in this group, so it would be okay. Just make it general. And it's one thing I never, I'm looking back at inner child at the soul level. Sometimes the inner child at the soul level can feel like a negative entity just because it's just like a big mad baby. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. But it's not, it's just information that's popping out. Okay, Gretchen says she's done for Lisa. And Clifton should still be sitting in his lost and he's almost done. You know what, let's go ahead and do one last exercise. Somebody has used inner child at the soul level when they were a child. Either that or one of their children did. I'm getting age 3 as the time. And we're going to go into that place, the inner child at the soul level. And you're going to take back anything you accidentally sent out. And if you can tell with your spirit guides it's not you, then just sit this one out. It would be someone who would probably feel like they have negative energy around them at times. They might think it's other people. It may follow them from house to house, and they might think it's something bad, but it's really just part of them and their experience. So we take that vacuum cleaner, and it's pointed out at the universe from your solar plexus, and you take back in anything you accidentally sent out. And it's usually out of fear. And I'm just going to say a couple of the codes that are around the chart, maybe it'll give you a chance to feel what they do. The distance from here to God, 0707. 985-321-0865-421. 070 1111 09239-1234. And 225 repeating. 2707099. The Helichrysum oil. I'm sure I said that wrong. And reverse osmosis. So let your guides show you how to use these codes beyond what we did today. Allow yourself to receive similar things that are closer to what your truth and spiritual destiny are. So just letting this open the door for whatever it is that you are here for. Well, the codes that I read, those are ones that came in from Spirit, and each one does something different. So instead of having a Reiki symbol, the combination of numbers, it's like a frequency, but it's just numbers that I channeled. If you're ever in Destiny Override, 1111, it'll pop you right out of that. So I have fun with my guides, and you don't have to say the codes. You can just look at them on the chart. You can let your pendulum swing to them. You know, if you feel like seeing what those are for, go ahead. And I will have them in the book, and hopefully I get that out by the end of the year or early next year. So thank you all for being here. I had a lot of fun. And if you have any questions, just send me an email at info@policeintuitive.com. Or if you're ever working on something and you're stuck, I'd be glad to help you. So thank you.